Uh-oh. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got. There's.
Hey,
Let me
Rick.
see. On Monday at 12:30 in the afternoon, I got an email, and there were two emails together, and they both said 7:30.
Okay, and
All right.
why am I
So
not hearing anyone?
It'll be okay. I'm going to mute myself.
I know why.
I was gonna say, Rick, you're kind of herky jerky, and yeah, and we don't hear everything.
And let me change my audio. And the microphone, check 1, 2.
I hear you.
Yep, you're there.
Okay, here we go. All right. Sorry about the confusion, guys. I just get into the habit of scheduling the room to open before the meeting starts, so that we can get anybody who wants to chat or hang out has a little time to do that. But the meeting was officially set to start at 7:30, so we're chatting until then. And look who it is as I live and breathe, Michael Callahan. How are you?
Top of the evening to you.
Top of the evening to you, right back. How you doing, Santa Tim?
Wonderful.
Glad to hear it. And Joe, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good seeing you too. How are you doing?
Yeah, you know, about as well as can be expected, I guess, under the circumstances.
Okay.
Without going into the circumstances. But you know what? I won't need this tonight, and I'm going to need that screen. So change that.
How was the picnic?
The picnic was very successful. Bob has the sign-in sheets, so I'm not sure how many people showed up, but I would imagine there were somewhere between 50 and 70 people there at one point or the other, and quite a variety of people too. Um, Bob Osterhout was there. Bob Suter showed up. Santa True. Um, Richard Staley from your chapter, I believe, came up and joined us. We had the Santa Big Tom, the president of the Inland Empire chapter, showed up. So we were well represented.
Yeah, well, I was going to come, but my wife is doing pretty poorly.
I'm so sorry to hear that, my friend. And care to share anything else, or we'll just
Well,
prayers?
she's not getting around very well and can't do much of anything with her hands. She's swollen and arthritis, and she can't take the lid off of a bottle. She can't open a cabinet. She can't open a drawer. And I was sitting there going, I don't know how well she would fare going out to a picnic and having to go walk to start with.
Yeah.
Get from the parking lot to wherever her chair would be.
Well, I have to say you probably made the right decision, and my thoughts and prayers go out to her, of course.
Yeah, the parking was reasonably close, and the area was fairly level. But if you were having ambulatory issues, yeah, not that level.
Okay. I made the right decision.
Yeah.
She wanted to go, and I was sitting there thinking, walking across the field at a park, you never know how many bumps or gopher holes or roots sticking up or whatever you're going to run into, and she doesn't walk very well.
Yeah.
Well, as it turns out, we had plenty of shade. The pavilion only had pergola shading, which just intermittently blocks the sun and allows the sun to come through in between. But we did have, I think, 5 or 6 pop-ups. I think 6 pop-ups in addition, and plenty of people brought their own seating. So it turned out that we were fairly well spread out and pretty comfortable next to the lake.
Good.
And of course, when I got there, the temperature that day at the park was equivalent to our overnight low out here. So the heat wasn't bothering me as much as it, as it might have other people who live close to the coast.
Yeah, weather-wise, it was a pleasant day, and it's a nice park. It's well maintained. It was nice and green. You didn't have the big, dry dirt spots and that kind of thing. So it was nice.
Well, definitely keep it in mind for future parks. It's not as large as Irvine Regional Park is, but the parking situation I found much more convenient. At least of course, we may be casting aspersions needlessly, because the last time we were at Irvine Park happened to coincide with the day they were having a Star Trek convention at the park as well, and just parking was slammed. And some people just drove past us several times and then stopped long enough to say, there are no parking spaces, we're going home. So.
Yeah, Rick, I can tell you, I live fairly close to Irvine Park, and Monday through Friday, I walk my dog up there. I do not go on Saturdays because frequently there is no parking as of 10 a.m. It's that busy normally on a Saturday, so I just don't go.
Well, on the that's the downside. On the upside, Irvine Park is free except for parking, and it cost us $100 reservation to secure that area. But it's once a year, so I think it might be well worth it for us to consider doing that again next year.
Does anybody know Santa Jerry Kraft? He was formerly in Washington State.
Doesn't sound. I don't remember speaking to him at any point. No. Kraft or Croft?
Kraff.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I'm not familiar with him.
Well, I guess I'll check with our membership list.
Well, there's our membership list sitting right there on the top left of my screen. But I'm pretty sure we don't have a Kraft right now. I will check though. I mean, it won't take me to look it up.
He's a Santa that just moved to Arizona. He seemed to think he was a member of FORBS.
Well, we will make that true for him. Toot sweet.
Yeah, I will call him tomorrow and get him in touch with the right people there with the website.
Absolutely. And just send him to the website FORBSantas.com,
Yeah.
and he can click on join us, no problem. Or you can just give him the email address, membership at FORBSantas.com, and he can start talking directly to us.
Does that membership email go to Crystal?
It goes to Crystal. It goes to Crystal. It's CC'd to Crystal and to Joe and to me.
Okay, good.
So somebody will definitely respond to him quickly. No, I've got a Kistler, a Klewer, a Kucharski, and a Kunkel.
Great. Somebody referred a hotel out here in Scottsdale to me. They were looking for FORBSantas, and we didn't have a big response from our members. And so I reached out to Arizona Santas, which is primarily an iBurbs group. As you know, we only have like 6 or 7 Santas, and this Jerry responded.
Well, that's good. I'm not as antithetical to the iBurbs as most of their members seem to be.
There's some good people over there.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, but they are definitely burning some bridges with some vendors and other people in the industry. The Santa Academies that have tried to deal with them, and Worldwide, NOR, Sepia, Cherry Hill, they've all been bitten at one point or another by somebody up in the treehouse over at iBurbs. So I don't have, like I said, they do their thing as far as I'm concerned. We do ours, and I have every reason to take pride in all of their accomplishments.
Awesome, awesome.
So, Rick, while I got you on here,
Yes, sir.
I had to go out this week and buy insurance. What's going to be coming up with insurance?
Oh, there's a page on the website that you can get your insurance under. I believe it's under Forbes stuff. Hang on a second.
I thought it said no insurance was available.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I take your point now, and I will have to confirm. But the last we heard from Jacqueline over at Karcher was that they were prepared to proceed. Let's tell you what. Well, it's a little late in Vegas right now to give them a call. I'm going to make a note and call them first thing in the morning. Do you say you went out to get insurance elsewhere?
Yeah, I had to. I have a couple of shows at a place, schools and so forth, and they require insurance.
I will definitely slap them in the face with that bad news, because you are yeah, that's not good, and I apologize. I confess that I have been terminally distracted recently, and this week is worse than ever. Literally every hour of my past couple of weeks has been husbanded and scheduled. Where did I put? Oh, I bet it's under join us. Okay. Join us. Okay. And membership renewals. And there we go. Click here for insurance information. And you know what? Bob will be on here soon, I hope, as well. And he has actually spoken to Jacqueline since I have, but it's a little late to confirm it now, and I apologize to you for the inconvenience and the frustration. The insurance, you know what? I just clicked on their page and it says the insurance program for Forbes is currently unavailable.
Yeah.
Is not currently available.
Yeah, so I went to Forbes' site originally, and then I saw that it wasn't available. So I said, I guess they didn't get it during the COVID.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to go outside and find some entertainers insurance elsewhere.
Did you get it through the iBurbs?
No.
Good, because I would hate to. That would definitely be an insult if Karcher had activated them and not us. But yeah, that's unfortunate, and I am going to set an alarm to call them tomorrow morning, 10:15 a.m. Well, no, excuse me. I don't know what time they open. I'll set it for 9 a.m. Call Karcher Campbell, RE Insurance. Oh, I'm so sorry. But then again, I guess it wouldn't have become, it wouldn't have seemed as urgent to me until at least July or so, because most Santas are still preseason, but because of your entertainment sideline, your side hustle.
But July is also a week away.
That's true. Our membership renewal season doesn't start until September 1st, technically. Our fiscal year. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse stuff working? Oh, there we go. Let's see here. Join us. Let's go to the bylaws. There we go. Dues shall be assessed and payable by each member in good standing on October 1st. And any dues submitted for any new member registering after August 1st shall be considered current until August the 1st of the following year. So it's usually in September that we kick off the membership renewal season. And beginning in August, we begin to credit any dues paid for the following year. So it's, to be honest with you, it's usually August before the membership renewals and insurance applications and that become important from that direction, you know, from the administrative direction. Totally understand that.
Well, Rick, I just look for clarification.
Uh-huh.
Since we've been doing, Forbes has been doing business with Karcher, have we ever shut it down before? Or is
No.
this just another unique thing associated with COVID? And
Yes, you're exactly right. It was Karcher that shut it down. And I'm curious now. I'm not going to speculate, but my curiosity is aroused to find out what their perspective and contemplations are.
right.
So I'll attend that early in the morning.
Okay, Rick, I just went on to FORBS,
Uh-huh.
and they only show insurance for 2020 to 2021.
Okay.
So obviously, they don't have 2021 to 2022 yet available.
Did you get it from National Santas, Gina?
No.
Okay, so you went with
from a regular company. Let me see if I can find out who I got it from.
Okay. Well, it may become relevant if Karcher, for some reason, is not reactivating the policy. I'll find out whether it doesn't look like FORBS has theirs rolling yet. And I haven't heard anything from Gina. Usually I hear from Gina Bacon. As soon as her policies become available, I hear about that too. So I'm thinking that it's still something internal, administrative with KC. Actually, it's not Karcher Campbell anymore. Karcher bought Campbell out, so it's just Karcher.
Okay. There we go. Angela Langness from, I got it from I got it where I used to get it from before I joined Forbes, Specialty Insurance Agency.
This isn't the Clowns of Specialty Insurance. That's not the Clowns of America policy, is it?
No. In order to do Clowns of America, you have to be a member of Clowns of America.
Really, that's a modification because they used to be the only place before we activated our policy in 2008. The only way Santa could get insurance was through piggybacking on the Clowns of America. Hey, Bob.
Hi.
Joe had to go out and buy insurance somewhere else because we haven't been reactivated by Karcher yet. The website still shows it as currently unavailable.
Okay, I haven't talked with them, but usually we do all our business in September to get ready for the October rush.
That's why I was excusing my lack of awareness. I knew that we had been waiting for the other shoe to drop with Jacqueline, but I'd still set an alarm to give her a call in the morning and see what they're thinking.
I have to have insurance year-round because I work in the schools and the different places that require insurance.
Sure.
Well, didn't you buy insurance last October?
Was it available?
Yes, it was.
Was it? I don't know if I bought mine or not either. I don't remember when they notified us that they were shutting it down.
Yeah.
But Bob's point is valid in that once you get your Santa insurance, it applies to your other performance characters as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
right, exactly.
Plus, again, as extra person.
But did you not get insurance for your Santa season last year?
We were both virtual. Oh, he wasn't. I was virtual entirely.
I was mostly virtual. Yeah, I might not have.
Huh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I thought about it and then decided not to because I was not going to do. The only in-person event I did last year was for the city. Oh, you know what though? I may have had to have it for the city of Laguna Niguel.
Well, I'm sure they'd require it.
They may have trusted Santa. You know, I'm a trustworthy person. But I should be able to find it on my computer pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, as someone who worked for a public agency, folks at the public agency tend to be really good at checking the box on their form to make sure they've got everything they're supposed to have.
Well, anyway, yeah, Jackie at Karcher was working at home last year, but I really thought that it was still available. But if it isn't, why, I will try and contact her this week. And
All right, I will. Like I said, I set an alarm to give her a call in the morning, but I'm more than happy to leave that to your good graces.
well, it's okay. You can call her.
Okay, yeah, I'll leave my alarm and then give her a holler if she picks up. If not, I'll just leave a message and tell her to call you. Yeah, I see my 2020 Forbes insurance.
Yeah,
I
me
do not
too.
see 2021. Oh wait, 2020 would be, let me see when the purchase date was. I mean, if it was 2019 to 2020.
Yeah, it stopped October 1st, 2020.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. The 2019 policy would have expired in 2020. You're right. And the 2020 insurance, it looks like these are the web pages. So my 2019 Santa insurance was the last policy that I actually purchased, and it would have expired. Yeah.
I also don't show that I had purchased it. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's been all shut down.
And it's probably why we didn't get it.
Right.
That's why none of us got it. One of us would have. How you doing, Elf John?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm so glad to hear it. Is that the Santa tartan behind you?
No, it's my family tartan.
Ah.
But
So-
I'll change that so the contrast is better.
Whose is that?
County Cork of Ireland.
You must have. You've got a lot in common with the Schaefers then, with Steve Schaefer then, huh?
Oh yeah, he's my fraternity brother.
Irish heritage, yeah. Which fraternity?
Friendly Sons of St. Patrick.
Ah, excellent.
Wait a minute, your tartan just
Last
changed
name
color.
McCreevy.
You're all talking at me once. What?
Said, what do you think I am with the last name McCreevy?
Oh, you got a good chance of being from that foreign land. Yes.
Isn't that Italian?
Yeah.
Michael Callahan, what's the weather like in Phoenix?
We had the first monsoon start today.
You.
Did you get rain?
We got it all morning, and it's muggy as all get out.
No longer with the dry heat.
No, we're out of that for a month or two.
We actually had rain here today.
Yeah, good. So
So
Who had rain? Rick, did you have rain?
Yes, we did. I woke up to a drizzle, and then later it picked up a little bit. We never got a lot, but it was only the possibility of rain was only at 13%, and we did get some.
Al, there's a fire out here somewhere.
I noticed it walking by Manuel's house over there. He might have some kind of a wood fire going on out back.
I've got one right here.
That's what I smell. All right. Well, we have 7 members present. It is 7:30, and we have a full agenda to get to. So I am going to call the meeting to order and bring up the agenda so that we can power through this. Madam Secretary, formally report the presence of a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
There is a full presence of a quorum. There will be no quarreling over that quorum.
It's a quarrel-free quorum. Okay. Say that 3 times fast. Okay. Oh, let me go ahead and share this. So I'm going to need to share this. Screen number 2. I will just leave this sharing. Nope. Are you guys seeing the gallery or the
Both.
Seeing your agenda.
Agenda.
Good. That's good to hear. Okay. All right. Call to order 1, roll call 2. Both of those are taken care of. Number 3, the secretary provided minutes of the Q1 board meeting. They've been distributed to all directors and officers along with the Q2 meeting agenda. Are there any comments, criticisms, complaints about the minute?
Move to accept as distributed.
It's been moved
I second.
and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Moving on. The financial statement. Bob, I know that you amended the financial statement to the tune of $46 early this morning based on the memorabilia sales this weekend, but I decided not to bring up the financial statement.
That's okay. You can pretend I did it tomorrow.
Okay, we'll make the adjustment to tomorrow next month. Okay, so let me scroll down real quick. You guys can see the current status. You guys all got this, by the way, I'm sure. But just so that this is included in the archives, this is the financial statement for the Q2 board meeting. And as you can see, we have $8,632.23 on hand in our various accounts. We still have a $5,000 deposit in escrow with Knott's Hotel, bringing the total of our current assets to $13,632.23. That is the complete financial statement. Any comments or call for revisions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to accept as presented.
Bob, you're the treasurer, somebody else.
Move to accept as presented.
It's been moved. Seconded?
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Thank you. All right, powering right along here. Old business. The chair notified all directors and officers that we have our annual conflict agreement obligation, and I am happy to report that as of yesterday morning, all of our directors and officers have complied with, are in compliance with that conflict agreement requirement, so we can move on. The conflict agreement was in Appendix B, but I redacted it because you guys have seen it often enough, and to keep the agenda shorter. B, under old business, chair expresses the board's gratitude to all chapter directors and officers for their efforts to keep their members informed and engaged during the long national nightmare, which was the COVID pandemic, and asks what the board can do to help each constituent chapter resume normal operations as state and county public health authorities relax prohibitions on in-person meetings. I believe the San Diego chapter was the first to resume in-person meetings this year. Congratulations to you, Joe, and to your team down there. Inland Empire chapter happened to be the next because, and to you, Elf John, I appreciate you're the
President.
the director and the president. Congratulations to both of you guys. You guys are on fire down there, on fuego. I'm really proud of your organic growth down there and your member involvement as well. The Orange County chapter had planned to have an in-person meeting prior to the Inland Empire's meeting. Unfortunately, it was canceled because because of the over response to the RSVPs. We were supposed to keep the party down to about 30. Well, legally it was supposed to be no larger than 30. They were going to accommodate 35, maybe 40 because of their love for us. But when we reported 53 active RSVPs, they pulled the plug. So we had another Zoom meeting last month, and the chapter picnic, joint chapter picnic, was our first in-person meeting. I believe that the Arizona chapter generally meets virtually anyway. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the Silver State Santas meet in Las Vegas regularly. I believe this will actually be their first in-person meeting as well. They're going to meet, I think he said July 1st will be their first. I spoke to Bob Calais. He had a medical appointment tonight, and he was not going to be able to join us unless he found a quiet place in the corner to do it on his phone. So they'll resume their meetings on July 1st as well. So I will repeat my request or my offer to support the chapters in any way that we can to help you guys, advance your in-person meeting agendas, to continue your organic growth. If you guys can think of anything that the board can do, I know that San Diego has their own recruiting cards, for instance, but we were passing out recruiting cards at the chapter picnic again this weekend. And I encourage the chapters to look toward their own organic growth. And if there's anything the board can do to help facilitate that in any way, I trust that you guys will let us know. And we're open to suggestions. Any comments? Any further old business? Okay. New business. Chair recognizes and thanks our 2021 Elections Committee. Tim Marsh is the chairman of the Elections Committee this year as the director who is not standing for re-election. And we also met the other bylaws obligation that we have an even number of committee members. The committee consists of Charlie Bush, Daniel Pless, Chuck Kelly, who is also an admin for the FORBSantas social network on Facebook, and Santa Craig Ball. We have, at this point, I would like to pause and share with you guys a PowerPoint that I created for the benefit and education of the Elections Committee. I sent this out to the committee members, and I just wanted to share it with the board also. This is the Election Committee Guide. Basically, it begins by describing the 5 fiduciary officers defined in our bylaws, which are up for election: the chairman, the president, vice president, secretary, and the treasurer, obviously. It proceeds to the portions of the bylaws that pertain directly to the Elections Committee and to the standing committees in general. I'll be happy to share this with you guys individually, and it's also available online. And of course, I will pause at any point to address any questions or concerns that you guys might have, but I don't want to unduly lengthen the meeting or the minutes on behalf of the secretary. So I will just continue with the slides. It describes how we are using the bylaws. FORBS bylaws allow us to use electronics to conduct our business at the board level and at the committees level. And we also use it to facilitate our social networking and peer support and training, things like that. Our two most important tasks on the bylaws committee traditionally are candidate recruitment and certification, and seeking member input regarding bylaws revisions. We will discuss that a little further later. And I gave them some historical exemplars from previous elections committees. This was from the 2013 bylaws revision, the 2014 officer nominations process. I specifically chose this one to point that, to note that sometimes someone is nominated that is not actually a member of FORBS, and we have to segregate the elections. We have to qualify and certify the nominations individually. In 2015, we had the online candidate endorsement form, and the entire election was conducted for the first time entirely electronically online. 2016, we had proposals to modify the bylaws. These bylaws provisions, the option A, taking FORBS from regional to national, was the option chosen by the membership. We had another option that would have allowed us to seek international membership. But of course, as you guys know, our benefits are restricted to United States citizens, our insurance and the background checks that we get from IntelliCorp. Both of those are restricted to United States citizens. I've often wondered how international FORBS is, since they're using our insurance. And Clearform, I know, also only provides background checks in the United States too. So I'm not sure how they are officially international, but I won't get bogged down on that. It came up again this week because a reporter wrote to me and asked me some questions about it.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. So I just referred them to FORBS to get the specifics. Then we had the bylaws revision voting that passed. And the next page we'll deal with, this is a list of some of the bylaws, suggestions for bylaws revisions that have been proposed, floated, and basically just thanking everybody for volunteering. So thank you, Tim, and we will be getting together with the boys in the near future. Well, I should go back real quickly and point out that the cycle, according to our bylaws, officially our duties begin in September the 1st. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Somebody is trying to get the floor. Okay. The Elections Committee shall begin no later than September 1st to solicit nominations. Shall ensure by October 15th that each nomination has been endorsed by at least 5 MIGs and accompanied by a headshot photo, candidate statement of 100 words or less, and a current background check. As you guys know, our bylaws obligate every member to submit a clean background check for membership to join, but then we do not require annual renewal for the membership itself to remain a member in good standing. If you're going to apply for the insurance, of course, it's strongly suggested that you renew your background, your background check at that point. And if you're going to activate the abuse and molestation rider, you're obliged to renew your background check. But the third option, the third situation in which you would be obliged to renew your background check would be if you accepted a nomination for one of the fiduciary offices. They are to submit a finalized list of nominees to the board by November 15th and shall introduce qualified candidates at the annual luncheon in January. Balloting is electronically distributed by no later than February 15th. The ballots have to be returned to the election committee by the 15th. And basically that's the election cycle in a nutshell. Okay. So we are not really under the gun until September the 1st. And by that point, everybody will have had a chance to go over this tutorial, and we'll all be on the same page by then, Tim. Thank you very much. And that's the description of the 2021 or the 21-22 election cycle according to the bylaws. Okay, regarding proposals for bylaws revisions in this upcoming election cycle, some of the suggestions that I have tossed around with various directors and officers include the concept of eliminating redundant representation. Since we have, the bylaws stipulate that any geographic accumulation of Santas of 5 or more members in good standing can qualify to be a chapter in the fraternity. And if they get to 10 members in good standing, they can become a directing chapter, and the number of seats on the board of directors increases by 1. It has occurred to me and others that there are, because we have regional as well as local chapters, we don't think that it would be appropriate for the same member in good standing to be used as qualification for 2 separate chapters. So there is no such restriction or stipulation in the bylaws as they exist now. And if we're going to continue to accept or to activate regional chapters at the statewide level, and then accept local chapters within those states, I believe that it may be incumbent upon us to address the possibility that these same Santas might be qualified to certify 2 different organizations, and we need to address that. Any comments on that? Yeah, Bob?
If a member is eager and willing to participate and be an active member of a local chapter as well as a regional chapter, I say go for it. Some people are just really good at joining and taking over the reins and helping out. I don't see a problem with having them be a regional and a local.
Okay, let me describe such a potential problem. If a cohort of 5, or in this case 10 Santas, were to certify for a statewide chapter in, we don't have one right now in Washington state or Oregon. If they were to qualify as a regional chapter in Oregon, and then decided to use the same 10 Santas to qualify as a local chapter in Portland, and then to use the same 10 Santas to organize as a separate chapter in the Falstaff Valley Santas Association, those 10 Santas could now control 3 seats on the board of directors. These same 10 Santas could control 3 seats on the board of directors because our bylaws do not restrict it. That is the worst case, a devil's advocate scenario that I would like you guys to consider. And since we have seen ill will and menacing actors in the Santa world before, on at least 2 separate occasions, we've seen massive interruptions to the Santa world because of bad actors. We have to accept that not everybody who joins the fraternity is going to have fraternity at their heart. So we have to protect ourselves against the advent of evil actors. And this is the worst case scenario that we need to consider. Tim.
I agree with Bob in that they should be allowed to be involved in any of them that they want to be.
Yes.
But I think once they count, let's say they count towards a regional,
Yes.
then they cannot count towards a local chapter after that, or any subdivision after that, that it has to be a different set of Santas.
To be slightly more generic than that, I would go so far as to say they could be used to certify at the regional, local, or whatever level if they want to. And then if they wanted to switch their certification qualifications to another organization, they could have themselves replaced. Say they start at the Oregon state level, they're one of the 10 Santas to qualify the state. And then they decide that they want to start a local chapter in their hometown, and he wants to be one of the certifying Santas for that group. Then he can have himself replaced, or by organic growth, they may have already acquired enough Santas that he is no longer obliged to be one of the 10 certifying Santas for that statewide organization. And then he could withdraw his certification from the state level and go to the regional or whatever, any other geographic qualification.
Right.
So the point would be that you could only any MIGs could only be used to certify any single recognized chapter.
Okay, and what do the bylaws say if you have a regional, then they decide they want to go to the state of Oregon, then they want to go to Portland, and 5 of those original 10 Santas go. So now your first group, which didn't see a lot of organic growth, is only 5 Santas.
Then they would no longer be, if they slip below the 10-member threshold, then they become a founding chapter and not a directing chapter.
Okay.
Excuse me, a participating chapter. We have 3 levels of chapters. The founding chapters, there are only 8, and they are described in the bylaws, stipulated in the bylaws by name. Then there are participating chapters, which is any geographic accumulation of 5 MIGs or more. And then there is a directing chapter when they attain 10 voting members at the same time. So you're right. If 5 members, and why would they have to withdraw really, except, they don't have to quit the regional chapter. They just can't be used to certify both groups. But if there are 10 in the directing chapter at the statewide level, and then 5 of them want to certify a local chapter, they can do that because they're not being used to occupy a board seat.
Right.
Well, then again, this is another thing that we would need to stipulate in the bylaws. So I'm glad that we generated some interesting conversation about this. Would anybody else like to comment on this, or would you like to gather your thoughts and share them later? Yes, John.
Have you had this situation arise yet?
No, sir. But then again, the last 2 times we went off the cliff, it was because we had not anticipated. So we don't want to react. We want to prevent.
Well, you can always put that kind of a verbiage in your bylaws, but put it in to be activated at a time and not try and drive the bylaws right now.
Well, the bylaws must be static by definition. So we could definitely create the bylaws in such a way that, or we would want to write the bylaws in such a way that they are not used to prevent or discourage organic growth and development of any chapter at any level. So yeah, I agree with you in that regard. But we do want to attempt to anticipate the possibility and to prevent the potentiality of bad actors hurting the fraternity. It's our job to husband the fraternity. Were you saying something, Michael?
Yeah, so are you saying that as it sits right now, you can't have multiple board members from the same chapter?
Definitely not. In fact, the director's seat is, the directors represent the chapters themselves. So each directing chapter has 1 seat on the board, and each directing chapter gets to choose its director by means of its own selection.
No, I understand that part, but when you are getting a chairman, a president, a treasurer, membership, all these other positions, can you have more than one of those positions in an individual chapter?
Yes, actually the 5 offices, the fiduciary offices that are described in the bylaws are separate from the directors. The directors are individuals who represent chapters, and the fiduciary officers are elected by the general membership for those positions. it is generally frowned on. I don't know if it's precluded in our bylaws that, but as of now, no fiduciary officer is also a director. The directors are separate individuals from the 5 fiduciary officers.
If I may, I think his question was, at the chapter level, can people hold more than one? Is that what you were asking,
Yeah,
Michael? That's
exactly.
what I thought.
Exactly.
At the chapter level, can a person hold more than one office? In other words, can I be vice president and secretary at the same time?
No,
We
what
have-
I'm,
We have no control over the chapters. The chapters select their own representation and their own officers and administration individually.
I represented it wrong anyway. Go ahead, Michael.
no, I'm saying, can a single chapter have multiple national board members, national board positions in that chapter?
Oh yeah, you're seeing it on the screen right here. Joe Mystic is our vice president. That's a fiduciary office. And Elf John is the president of the directing chapter. So he's a director. That's the difference. Joe was a director, and when he became vice president, the chapter selected a different director.
So I'm not really clear on the benefit and how you would prevent some sort of a nefarious operator getting involved here.
Okay, I don't want to get too bogged down here, but I'll be happy to go over it with you separately. The main preclusion that we're aiming for with this proposed bylaws revision is to prevent the same group of people from certifying multiple directing chapters. That's basically what we're trying to prevent. We're not trying to exclude anyone, and we're not mandating inclusion of anyone. We're simply trying to prevent the potential activation of multiple chapters by the same small cadre of individuals. That's just one of the potential bylaws revisions. Let's move on. And by the way, if there's any further discussion on this, there will be open time at the end if everybody's still interested in hanging around. The second one is the authorization and designation of virtual chapters. This is basically a manifestation, this is the WinterNet that we were running quite successfully earlier this year until I had to shut it down in April. The concept was proven very successful. We had as many as 15 people participating from all over the country in virtual meetings and training sessions. And we were doing it 5 days a week. So once we were able to settle on a schedule of maybe twice a month, I believe that WinterNet would prove itself very successful. And of course, the object here is to provide opportunities for social interaction, peer support, individual training for all of those members who don't belong to a local chapter or local or regional chapter and are therefore not being served in the same manner as other members in good standing. The concept of WinterNet was to give everybody in those scattered, we have members in 39 states right now, and many of them come from towns too small to justify their own chapter, and states that are too scattered. So the idea of WinterNet was to give everybody a chance to participate virtually in chapter meetings, just like the local chapters and the regional chapters do now. The second bylaws revision suggestion is to formalize and codicil that authorization in the bylaws, for the bylaws revisions committee to come up with some way to describe and authorize a virtual chapter and basically extend the same opportunities for representation and participation and things like that. And again, mainly at this point, we're simply trying to cogitate your interest and get you to thinking about these things. The Bylaws Revisions Committee is going to be a subsidiary of the Elections Committee. So we will definitely be reaching out to each of the directors and officers. Now that you've had a chance to look at these and think about them, you should have some more solid, concrete suggestions to share in the future. there was a sub part of that one to create, in addition to creating and authorizing the virtual chapter, to coming up with some way to authorize the virtual chapters to select directors. And this is blue sky right now, because if we had 35 people in the virtual chapter and it only takes 10 of them to qualify to for a director seat, we would have to come up with some way to segregate that virtual chapter into subdivisions if we were going to allow them to certify for director seats at the same pace that the other chapters, the physical chapters, get to do. Or would we be best served to only have a single director for all of the members at large scattered all over the country? Those are things that we can discuss in the future. So consider that part of number 2, authorization and designation of the virtual chapter, and how to describe and authorize representation for those chapters. Moving on to number 3, the San Diego chapter has increased their officer terms to 2 years. This seems to be very successful. It reduces the obligation for annual elections, and it allows the people to grow into their office and learn their duties and still have plenty of time to perform the task before they are standing for re-election. The other thing is, do we want to remove, this is number 4, do we want to remove the term limits, modify them in some way? As it stands right now, we're electing our fiduciary officers for 1-year terms, and the bylaws stipulate that they can only serve for 4 consecutive terms unless nobody else is found willing and capable of occupying that office. That's another modification that we can consider. We'll leave those 4 intact right now, leave those in the front of your head and let you think about them. When the Bylaws Revisions Committee reaches out to you, you can give us your thoughts on those. Is there anybody else who would like to consider any proposals or offer any proposals for consideration to bylaws revisions? Yes, Madam Secretary. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, moving on. D, we have not done an issue of our formerly quarterly newsletter since the special edition came out last summer. Like everything else in the Santa world, we had to shut this down. And I will say that the summer edition, the special edition, was outrageously successful, beyond my wildest dreams. It was picked up by the Associated Press, no less, and it was carried in outlets around the world, literally around the world. I saw it in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Guardian of London, Rolling Stone magazine, the Huffington Post, Spectrum News, that's print and web, NBC, CNN, PBS, CBC, the Canadian Broadcast Network, BBC and Bloomberg all referred to it. And it was on CBS This Morning and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. That edition of the newsletter was outrageously successful. And I would like to see, I seek authorization from the board to reactivate the fraternity's newsletter. Moving on to number 3, Santa Cari Burgo, who was the editor of the newsletter at that time during the summer edition, he had family issues and had to resign shortly after it was published. He and his wife have now moved to Oregon, I think he said. I spoke to him today by phone. I received his response, and he says that, hi, Senator Rick. A lot has happened this past COVID year. Bev and I retired and moved up to Middleton, Idaho. We're about 25 miles west of Boise. No Forbes chapters up here that I know of. One thing I felt uncomfortable with last time was editing other people's articles. I thought, who am I to change what they've written? I should point out right here that we weren't changing what they wrote. We were just editing it for content to fit into the columns. And he just felt uncomfortable about that. Anyway, I don't know if living in Idaho disqualifies me, but I do have more time now. Let me know your thoughts and give me a call. So he's interested in putting on the harness again and helping us with the newsletter. And in order to jumpstart this thing, since I'm going to be fairly busy for the next couple of months with the Festival of Arts, I would like to move on to number 4. The chair calls upon each director and officer to submit an article for the next edition. It could be about your chapter, its members, your city or state or region. It could be a travel log for all I care. It could be about your 2020 season. If you worked as Santa, what was different and what was the same? If you didn't work, tell us about that too. It could be an amusing or interesting story from any time in your Santa career. And it should be somewhere between 100 and 500 words. And it can include photos, videos, press clippings, etc. So I urge the 7 of 10 members that we have on the board right now attending this meeting, I personally request that you guys give some thought to putting together a, let's say, 250-word article about you, your chapter, your area, your season, whatever. If just we 7 people came up with an article, we could put 6 pages in the 6 of 10 pages in the newsletter by ourselves, and that would take a lot of stress off of Santa Carrie. We also have room for ads. We also have room for anyway, we'll let the editorial committee handle the publication and composition of the newsletter. But does anybody have any comments? Yeah, Tim.
My question really is, when would it be, when are you looking at having it be published again?
Well, summer just began, so it's a quarterly publication. We've already missed the first 2 quarters. So it would be for the 3rd quarter, so July, August, or September. We will say mid-August, mid to late August would be the last we would be soliciting submissions, and that would give the editors the last few weeks to compose and publish.
Right. Okay.
And I will definitely send out formal emails requesting and suggesting, and maybe even give you guys a template to work with or something like that. Okay. All right. Any other new business? Okay, moving right along. Number 7, the 2022 reunion. We are up against it this year. I thought last year was bad, and it was, but we knew early on, we knew by March that we were going to have a tough time, and by August, we knew that there wasn't going to be an in-person convention. So we were already working on a virtual reunion by the time the Christmas season started. And we had already put the kibosh, or put the hold on our 2021 reunion contracts with Knott's Berry Farm by July of last year. So this year we have been trying since, well, they formally reopened in early June. They started having, the hotel started accepting guests and renting the rooms under some restrictions that I'm not familiar with. Pete North lives practically across the street from them, and he told us that their parking lot was fairly active for most of June. By the time, and by late May actually, and by early June, they were pretty busy. By June 15th, they had opened the park up. In fact, by the first week of June, they were allowing California residents only and vaccinated residents to attend the park. So by June 15th, they were up and running, and we were hoping to get our contract from the hotel no later than June 15th, since everything should be up and running by now. But as Bob can confirm, we've got a proposal from them in 2021 that offered us the rooms and spaces and room rates and things in exchange for a food and beverage guaranteed minimum of $18,500 inclusive, which means that number includes service charge and tax. That was in the proposal. When they sent the contract out, they left that one word out, and we didn't catch it. But that contract became void anyway. So when it came time to renegotiate the contract for 2022, is your hand up, Joe? Okay.
No.
Okay. When it came time to reactivate the contract, I resent them the original proposal that they sent us with the word inclusive intact, and asked them to revise the contract, and told them that we were ready to sign as soon as we got a contract that comported with the original proposal. They hemmed and hawed for several weeks, and then late last week they contacted Bob, and Carol said, I've been looking at these two documents and I don't see the difference. What are you guys holding out for? And Bob pointed out that the word inclusive was a very important word, because it meant the difference of about $7,000, well, anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 in the obligation that we were contracting to. So she then had to turn around and kick the contract up to her supervisors at Cedar Park Entertainment, no, Cedar Fair Parks. And they are now the owners of Nuts, and they have yet to give the authorization for the reissuance of the contract. And we're biting our nails. I mean, I'm biting my toenails now, because it is almost July and we still don't have a contract. We've got a bid from the park for the picnic on Friday. We still don't have a contract from the hotel. Bob, go ahead and share whatever you have from Carol or Debbie.
Okay. Carol called me again this week. You know, when last time I had talked to her, she said I wanted to disclose that there will be, they're refurbishing the hotel during January when we're scheduled to be there, but it shouldn't bother us. But then when she called this week and I missed her, she left a voicemail that said, corporate isn't telling me yet exactly what their remodeling is going to include, and we don't know if it's going to impact you or not. But she didn't say they're waiting for them to approve the financial aspect of it. She was talking about the physical aspect of the renovation of the hotel.
Oh my God.
And so I called her back and I told her that we were going to have a meeting tonight. I wanted to get some input from her, but she never returned the call.
Okay. And I would also add at this point that Lonnie, well, you know what, that's C. We'll get to that after B. So that's where we stand with the contract for Knott's Hotel. We've only got one alternative proposal from the Buena Park Holiday Inn. They can accommodate us. They have the spaces that we need. They have some good menus and, you know, catering options and things like that. But the proposal that she sent over is about $25,000 as well. So we're not going to be gaining much benefit by switching horses at this point and going with the Buena Park option, and we would still have to come up with an option for Friday's meet and greet. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that we can get Knott's Hotel to issue a contract for Saturday and Sunday by the end of this week, or at least the end of this month. We need to proceed with this. At this point, I would like to stop and share with you guys, especially for the new guys who haven't participated in a reunion before. The reunion is our reason for existing. The annual Santa reunion is the fountain from which the entire modern Santa world has flowed. It has been in continuous operation since 1995, and it is basically, it is the egg from which the modern Santa world was born. The reunion staff, we have 8 volunteers at this point, as you can see from this slide. Many of the same people who are on this meeting. The one that I question at this point is Art Brown. He did volunteer, but he has not responded to any of my subsequent communications when I sent them out to the planning committee generically. And I've only tried one individual or personal communication with him, and he hasn't responded to that either. But I believe he is the mayor of Buena Park this year, and that may be, and even if he's not, he's a city councilman, I believe. It's one of those situations where the city council rotates the mayor's position. So as long as he's a city councilman, he's on the list to become the mayor again. And this might be his year. So he may just be too busy to respond. I don't know. The next slide is, these are the primary committees that constitute the reunion committee in general. The registrations, in fact, each one of these is listed separately. The registrations committee, and I'm not going to go try to read all of this. I'll be happy to share this PowerPoint with you. This is basically a tutorial for any of the volunteers and anybody moving forward that decides to volunteer to help us with the reunion. I will provide this tutorial to them, this PowerPoint to them, and let them choose the committee that they think is best fits their skill set. For example, I just heard this week from Kathy Perrone. I believe she has volunteered to serve. I believe she's going to help us with the registrations committee. If I can, I'm going to persuade her to chair the registrations committee because she's done it before. And in fact, at one reunion, she literally saved the day. In the last 2 weeks before the reunion, she doubled our registration simply by calling everybody that had ever been to a reunion and inviting them personally to come. So if we can get Kathy, that'll be fine. That'll be a good break for us. The vendors committee, we have Reggie Basnar and Craig Ball are both volunteered to help with that. And I'm going to, since I have chaired this committee more frequently than any other, I can help them, give them some guidance and some assistance with the vendors committee. The next one is the fashion show committee. Jacqueline Bailey has been the fashion show in a person for as long as I can remember, but for some reason, I haven't been able to get a hold of her. So I don't know. We may have to go in a different direction. Of course, with the virtual reunion, we didn't have a fashion show this year. So it remains to be seen who's going to be leading the fashion show. But this is, it's constituted by volunteers. Adele's of Hollywood provides a lot of the outfits. So this basically runs itself once we get somebody as the MC. The entertainment committee on Saturday night, if we're going to do the meet and greet in the park on Friday, we're obviously not going to go anywhere else on Saturday night. Plus we have to meet our food and beverage. So we're going to have our our Saturday dinner at the hotel, and it should be followed by some form of entertainment. Customarily, it's a fashion show, a talent show or something like that. So we will get some ideas from everybody regarding what our Saturday entertainment is going to be. Then there's the raffle committee. Diva has in years past done an excellent job with this, extremely successful. The vendors committee and the raffle committee are our two greatest sources of ancillary income. If we have a shortfall of any kind in the registrations, sometimes we can make it up with the proceeds from the raffle or from the vendors. So both of these are very important committees, and both of these will get a lot of support from the planning committee and from the board of directors in general. I won't put you on the spot right now, Diva, but please bear it in mind.
It's okay, I will.
I'm sorry.
I will.
Okay, so we have a raffle committee chair, and I move the centerpieces. When I heard from Kathy earlier this week, she let me know that Maggie Knits has volunteered to handle centerpieces for us this year.
And decorations, I think.
Say it again?
And decorations, I believe, decorations committee,
Okay,
not just centerpieces.
okay. Yeah, centerpieces and decorations, that's fine. Somebody has to do the decorations, you're right. So we will consider those combined. So anyway, Maggie Knits is going to be creating centerpieces for us. I have asked at her convenience to create an exemplar. so that I can share it with you guys, with the planning committee first, and then with the board of directors, and we can choose to authorize and fund her centerpiece creations. And this is finally the layout for the mezzanine ballroom, presuming that we are still going to be at Knott's Berry Farm. This is what the room will look like on Saturday and Sunday. One half of the ballroom, which is the O'Neill 1 and 2, and the Irvine, which is this whole section over here. And this is the Knott ballroom over here. The entire combined space is called the mezzanine ballroom. And we will have this entire mezzanine ballroom all day Saturday and all day Sunday. I have created a layout that allows for 20 tables of 8. That's very comfortable. 160 guests at the Sunday luncheon would fit very comfortably and still leave room for the parade, for the
Fashion show.
yeah, thank you, the fashion show. And of course, we have space for 35 vendors booths, plus an area for the photo setup. If Cherry Hill is going to be our photographer, we may actually get we are already going to have the Majeska and the whatever other suite, Bastion. Yeah, we're already contracted for those two breakout rooms, and in between them is another breakout room, which if Cherry Hill agrees to be or if we accept Cherry Hill's proposal, they're going to be our official photographers this year, and we will probably contract for that third breakout room and just set them up over there. Anyway, we'll have room for 35 vendors. We'll have room for 20 tables, five tables set up for the raffle committee, 3 tables set up in the hallway outside for the registrations committee, and that's what the layout will look like. Of course, this is all tentative at this point. I just wanted to share it with you guys since you're writing the checks. All right, moving on. Back to 7B, the planning committee reports on the progress of negotiations about the theme park. Okay, this is where I wanted to share with you guys. Did I really? All right, hang on. And bring it back over here. Let's see here. I need to get, I don't know how I closed that by accident. Okay, so I need, there we go. Nope. Sorry, I had all of these open and then I started looking for the insurance policies and I wound up closing it. Bear with me. Okay, the catering menu, that's what I want. Menu options, meet and greet alternatives, don't need that. There we go, I want this. And I want this. And I want this. Okay. Menu options, there we go. And I want the third one is the 3 options. Hang on a second. There we go, it's up here, okay. Meet and greet alternatives, menu options. There we go, 3 meat options. Oh, it was in power. Okay, it was in a word format. Okay, so let me bring this back over here. These are our plan is, since we're going to be, fingers crossed, since we're going to be at the Knott's Hotel, and they're going to be hosting all events on Saturday and Sunday. Our plan was to repeat 2014 and 2015 when we had our meet and greet in the Knott's Park, and it consisted of an all-day park pass plus a picnic at Mama Knott's chicken dinner restaurant, which is no longer available. So the Cedar Fair sent over this catering menu, and this was the original. That's a blank. Bear with me, sorry. Let me bring up the original proposal which they sent us. There we go. Okay, and this was based on the information that I plugged into an online request for proposal, and will therefore change. I said we were expecting 100 guests, as you can see here, and based on the food selections that I sent over there, it got pretty pricey very quickly. And I was disturbed to find out that although their brochures say all catered events include an all-day pass to the park, when he sent this proposal over, the park passes were additional. Now, in years past, let me bring this up. In 2014 and 2015, in 2014, we paid $51.70 for the catered meal, which was a chicken dinner buffet with sliders and side dishes and things like that. With the senior or junior discount, that total came to $40.57 per guest and included a park pass. So $51.70 in 2014. That went up the next year to $56.70. So both of those prices increased by $5 in 1 year. And here it is 7 years later now. We expected the prices to increase, but I was a little surprised when I totaled these meal selections out. If the park pass was included, we were gold, because this is the first menu that I sent over to him. Fried chicken, chili dogs, burgers, baked beans, mac and cheese, kernel corn, coleslaw, and potato salad, and boysenberry pie for dessert. The meal total per guest was $35.50. Add in the service charge and the tax, that came out to $44.73 per person. And I'm thinking, this is great news. That's almost what we paid 7 years ago. And then we found out that we had to add the $35 ticket on top of that. So that pushes the meet and greet cost, our cost, to $79.73 per guest. By manipulating the menu a little bit, keeping the fried chicken and the burgers and dropping a couple of the sides, that brings the per guest total for the food down to $30.31, and with the park pass, $65.31, which is still not bad. I'm sure that we could, in a 3-day package, that would still be acceptable. But there's a option C, menu C over here, dropping the chicken, which is the most expensive option, and keeping the chili dogs and the burgers, which is consistent with the picnic concept. We got that down a couple of more dollars. The total meal price per guest is $28.13. With the park pass, it's $63.13. Personally, the people that I've heard from said specifically that the chicken dinner was a big hit and the park pass was a big hit. So if we can choose an option that keeps the Mrs. Knott's chicken dinner in the buffet, I think that would be an advantage to us. But we could do that at our cost for about $65 per guest. And then once we get the contract for the meals on Saturday and Sunday, we would obviously have to add that price to the total of those individual meals, and then we would be able to price the package based on that. So just so you guys know, this is how the process works. This is how the sausage is made. And we should have had this done by now. Knott's really has us over a barrel.
Parking is included in that?
Now, here's the thing. The estimate that he sent over, they asked in the RFP online, they asked how many parking spaces we thought we were going to need. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that they were going to charge us for that, but I thought that most of our guests were probably going to be at the hotel anyway, and we get free parking at the hotel. But some of the guests might not be staying at the hotel that night, so they might, I told him that we might need, what did I say, 25 parking spaces. And it turns out they're charging us $20 a piece for those parking spaces. So I dropped that entirely. We're not going to contract for any parking at the park. We're going to encourage all of our guests to park at the hotel and walk over, since the hotel is kindly accommodating us with free parking. Anyway, with the original menu selections that I sent over and reserving 100 guests, our commitment was almost $9,500 for that day. I'm going to revise that back to 60 just for purposes of contracting. We would always reserve the option of expanding beyond the contract minimum, and we're going to drop the parking entirely. And that number came down to about $4,000 altogether. So, well, 60 times 60 times 70, or almost 80.
I thought it was times 100.
Well, if we have 100 guests, that's what it's ultimately going to cost us. But for purposes of contract minimums and to keep this bottom line more manageable, I figured that we would reduce the minimum obligation to 60 guests, and at $80 per guest, which is what this option worked out to, $79.73, 60 times 80 would be $4,800 instead of $9,500. So that's what we're going to try to shoot for. We're not going to do anything until we get the contract from the hotel. And now that I know that it's actually a structural integrity issue, I am much more anxious than I was before this meeting began. So fingers crossed, man. I don't know. Anyway, so that's where we stand on the meet and greet. That's where we stand on the park passes. And returning to the agenda, the only other item on the reunion report is an update on the Cherry Hills proposal for becoming a major reunion sponsor for 2022. Lonnie sent me an email again today. I CC'd most of you. I think I CC'd everybody on the response, just to keep you guys all in the loop and let you know that the plate is still spinning. So we haven't worked out the details with them yet. As it stands right now, he will in effect become our official photographers and buy a couple of 2 packages, full weekend packages for whoever's running the booths, things like that. There will be other expenditures that they will be on the cuff for. They're going to provide gifts to our meet and greet guests. They're going to provide free photographs, commemorative photograph packages for all of our guests. Everybody at the meet and greet will get a commemorative photo from that event. And then everybody at the reunion will get an official portrait. We will get, as usual, we will get all of the raw photographs, and they will be ours to use in any way that we want, including dissemination to the guests in lieu of photo purchases. But of course, Cherry Hill is just like Ty does when he's our photographer. He's hoping to recoup his expenses on sale of photography packages, and I'm sure Cherry Hill would have the same intent. But their undercurrent is also to recruit Santas, to eyeball Santas right up close and personal, so that they can recruit Santas on the spot. I haven't discussed it with him specifically or authorized it in any way, but the gist of everything he's saying is that's what they want to do. And as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. Any opportunity we can glean for our members to get employment during the season is fine with me. That's what we're here for. So that's where we stand. You guys got a copy of the agenda. The appendices include, this is in case you can't find the email that I responded to Lonnie earlier with. This is our counter offer, basically. And I will expand this a little bit so I can read it. There we go. We're hoping this is his in exchange for Cherry Hills paying for promotional banners and signage, which we will allow to be displayed in the reunion events, in the spaces and the events. They will also get front page location on the website. This will be the first time we have a homepage or a landing page promotion for a sponsor. But again, I'm fine with that. Email notification to all members and to all guests, members and associates and vendors that they are official sponsors this year, thanking them for that. They will also be included in all press releases, all PR materials, digital, print media, etc. You guys can read all of this. It's in your agenda. And in exchange for all of those concessions, on our part, they will agree to purchase 2 VIP registration packages at we're estimating $275 a piece. It could be higher than that. 2 vendor fair spaces. We will comp them the space for the photo setup, the photo booth and stuff, but we will expect them to pay for their vendor booth. Although that's negotiable as well. I'll leave it up to you guys. I won't plant my flag on that hill and defend it. And they're going to purchase the rear cover advertisement on the reunion yearbook. That is a $210 value. We've sold that space the last 2 years for $210, and Cherry Hill is going to buy it from us this year. And they're going to provide the professional photography services for all of our group shots, the portraiture for our guests, and candid photography for events throughout the weekend. And that's our counter proposal to them. And he seemed okay with it. On top of that, we're not technically negotiating yet, but we're discussing a cash outlay, some kind of promotional injection for the meet and greet on Friday. Maybe a $10 per guest subsidy, or maybe just a flat cash outlay for the planning committee to help subsidize the meet and greet in some way, in exchange for which they will be a prominent feature at the meet and greet picnic dinner. So sorry, the fireworks are going off over here. Every night we have fireworks over here in Hemet. So that's where we stand with Cherry Hill. Once we get the contract with the hotel, we can finalize the contract with the park, and then we can finalize the sponsorship contract with Cherry Hill. Bob, would you like to add anything to the reunion report?
No, I would not add anything to the reunion report. That's good.
Does anybody have any questions regarding the reunion?
I've got a question about historically, and you may not know this. How many rooms does the hotel actually rent versus our enrollment at the event? I'm just wondering how many people locally come to the event but go home at night.
Well, we are obliged. Part of our contract with the hotel are room blocks. We agree that our guests will occupy 60 rooms over the 2 nights that we are there.
Right, I understand.
Okay, but yeah, I would say that for every guest that stays in the hotel, there are probably 2 guests that are local or drive in.
Right. Okay.
There are 600, I believe there are 615 rooms in the hotel. It could be 650. Anyway, I believe it's 600 and something rooms, and we're obliged to fill 60 of them.
Right. Okay. Part of the reason I'm asking is we may want to ask questions about the free parking, about whether it's a number commensurate to the amount of rooms rented, or whether it is a number commensurate with registered attendees to our event.
That's an excellent question, and it has been anticipated. The contract stipulates free parking for all guests.
Okay.
Of the reunion, not the hotel.
Yeah.
I'll
And
let-
usually they can tell, they can see the bearded Santas coming in and they can tell.
What?
Yeah. They just wave us, and they've got ample parking. They got acres of parking over there. They never question us on the parking.
I just drive in and say, hey, I'm Diva. They go, "Psh, go on in, girl.
Okay. Is there anything any of you guys would like to bring to the attention of the board in any regard? Yeah, Bob.
Okay, we got a lot of bylaw proposals. Do we have a bylaw committee? What we need is some verbiage for people to make decisions on.
Right. No, we don't have a bylaws committee yet. Like I said, it is normally a counterfunction of the elections committee. We have a fully constituted elections committee at this point. The bylaws committee is, since as the chairman, I am standing pro forma, I believe it's called. I'm pro forma co-chair of all of the standing committees. So I will co-chair the bylaws revisions committee, and I will take Santa Tim under my wing, as I have done tonight with all of you guys. I want to teach as much as I can, as much as you guys want to learn. I want to share view behind the curtain with all of you guys so that you know how the sausage is made, especially regarding the reunion, because that is our lifeblood and the heart that beats it. So as Santa Tim proceeds with the elections committee, I will work closely with him, and we will also constitute the bylaws revision committee. And the first thing we will do is send out a questionnaire to the directors and officers for your suggestions and input regarding bylaws revisions proposals. At some point after that, we will use the social networking, the internal social network, so that our members and associates can also participate in the discussion regarding bylaws revisions. And at some point after that, by October something or other, before we have to constitute the ballot, we will have to have the bylaws revisions kind of decided on. And we can put as many bylaws revision proposals as we want on the ballot, but each one of them requires a majority of a 2/3 majority of Santa's voting, I believe it. I'll have to check the bylaws, but each proposal has to individually qualify once it's for certification. Anyway, okay, is there anything else anybody wants to bring? Because if not, I will end the meeting, and the secretary can terminate the minutes. By the way, Madam Secretary, this room was opened at 7 o'clock, so I joined at about 7:10. There will be 20 minutes at the beginning of the recording that you need not pay any attention to. The minutes will begin at 7:30, and I will let you know exactly where in the timeline on the track, the video track, that point is. So if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
So
Second.
moved and
Second,
seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The meeting is adjourned, and you're all welcome to chat.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you joining us, my friend.
You betcha.
Our
Good
best.
night, everybody. Good night, Arizona. Good night,
Good night,
Irene.
David.
Mhm.
good night, all.
All right, guys. I guess we
Quit screen sharing, Rick.
I will.
Yeah.
I just noticed that red button up there. So there we go. All right. Okay, then. All right. Oh, she's gone. All right. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Oh, there was one other thing that I wanted under adjournment. I left it. I should have asked you guys. And it was just a request for consensus to call future board meetings for an earlier time slot. Especially now that we have the Arizona, this mountain time zone involved. It's even an hour later for them than it is for us. And at some point, we're going to have chapters on the East Coast. Senator Rick Rosenthal is energetically trying to form an Atlanta chapter for us, at which point we are going to have to change the traditional hour for our board meetings to, I would say, no later than 4:30 PST or PDT, depending on the time zone. I mean, the time of the year. So we would give that some thought as well. The last few meetings we've had have all been during this time slot, and I think we're going to have to adjust that going forward. So give that some thought as well. I will send out next time we're preparing for a meeting. It's the chairman's primary duty is to arrange for these board meetings. So I always send out a consensus email to ask if anybody has any preferences for a date or a time slot. And now that you guys know that we are open to changing the time slot, give me some input next time. I'm going to propose it next time for 5:30, I would say. And that will be 6:30 for the Santas in Mountain Time. And it may prove inconvenient for anyone still working a 9-to-5 job. And if so, we will have to take that in consideration. But that's, we're just chatting at this point.
Okay, guys, good night.
Hi,
That's
Bob.
right, Gretchen. Love you guys.
Love you all.
Tell Gretchen we saw her arm and we loved her.
Okay, let's take care, guys.
Bye, Bob. I'll see you. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off myself. I've got a couple of things I still have to do before bedtime. Thank you guys a lot. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, good night all.